This video is about different types of loneliness that are less often discussed. Let's get into it. Loneliness is definitely going to be one of the biggest challenges you face in your new life abroad. Now, I'm not just talking about friends, although that is certainly a problem when you arrive and every time you move to a different city or region. I'm talking about different kinds of loneliness that are less expected and sometimes a surprise, and definitely less talked about. First of all, let's talk about cultural isolation. The people living in your new country are obviously going to have a different culture from you. But more than likely, so too are the other foreigners living in that country, even if they're from your home country. They will have grown up in a different state, a different city, different upbringing, possibly different politics, and this matters much more than you might think. You've just left your home city, your social group, your family, your support group, your shared understanding of the way things obviously should be. All of that is now completely gone. You're going to be profoundly alone. Losing those connections is possibly the biggest price you're going to pay for your new life abroad. It's really hard. For some people, it's too much. Now, of course, you can continue to text and video chat with all your friends, but time and distance really takes a toll, and those friendships, those connections, they eventually do fade. Making friends with people in your new country and new culture is awesome. It is so much fun to find out your commonalities and things that you can laugh about and talk about your histories. It's great. But there are going to be some things that you may not talk about, or if you do talk about them, it's going to be kind of delicate, right? I mean, the obvious things are religion and politics. But then there are some other things like their philosophy on life, their view on class societies or gender roles or sex. You know, these topics are things that maybe you'll never discuss. And if you do, it's going to be a very careful, very cautious conversation. It's not going to be the same as it is in your home country. So making friends in your new country is fantastic, but it's just never going to be quite the same. Often you're going to run into similar situations with other foreigners who live in your chosen country as well. Maybe you go to an expat meetup group and you realize that you really don't want to be sitting at a table where every second person is wearing a MAGA cap or wearing an American flag t-shirt. Or maybe you're in a different country where Aussies are common and you don't want to sit at a table with a bunch of drunken Australians talking about how much better Australia is than pretty much any other country in the world. These are definitely situations you might encounter. Speaking of other foreigners that you're going to meet when you're living abroad, I'm probably going to do another video about this, but here I'll just mention you're going to meet some super unsavory people. You're going to meet some people who are just unsettling and weird and straight up dangerous in some cases, or criminal, right? These people have fled to Thailand for whatever reason, or Latin America. And unfortunately, they're going to be looking for people like you who are fresh off the plane. They're going to be hanging out with other foreigners, and they're going to want to meet people like you who they can befriend. And honestly, probably they are going to want to try and take advantage of you. Now, if you're not able to recognize these people for who they are very quickly, the results can be absolutely disastrous, financially, even socially. You got to be so careful. So this situation can even lead to more of a feeling of being isolated because you got to put up these walls, right, that maybe you didn't have at home. Lack of a shared history can also lead to some feelings of isolation or loneliness. When you make friends in your new country, they will have grown up with a different background, a different history, and they have a different view about how things should be done in the world. When something happens in your home country, oftentimes your new friends will not even know about it. If it's something that has happened on a global scale, they'll know about it, but they are going to have a different opinion, different thoughts, and different ideas about what should or shouldn't be done about it. This means that sometimes any discussion of this situation can be difficult, if not straight up frustrating. And it goes even deeper than that. All your memories from your home country, everything about your school, your high school, university, sports that are popular, snacks, holiday foods, jokes or family dynamics, TV shows, all of that, it's out the window. Now, this is particularly difficult when there's a holiday in your home country or a holiday in your new country. This can cause some loneliness, definitely. But this also comes up with new friends. For example, I can remember a number of times here where I've been speaking to a new friend and they have shared a story with me about, let's say, something that happened in their childhood. And it's wonderful, right? I love hearing the stories and talking to them and getting to know them. But sometimes when they've been telling me a story like this, it has reminded me of something along the same lines that happened to me in my childhood. But I hesitated to tell the story because the cultural undertones of it, or the real nuanced meaning of the story, would be very difficult to explain. So there's been a couple of times when this has happened with a new friend, and of course I've loved hearing their story and really enjoyed that, but I've not told my story. It just doesn't get told because it would just be too difficult. Now, it's not always the case, right? Sometimes you can tell your story, and sometimes with a little bit of explanation, you can kind of get the point across. But oftentimes it's just not going to happen, and the story is not going to be told. So this is difficult, and it can definitely add to feelings of loneliness, even when you have new friends. To sum this up, I want to let you know that loneliness is definitely a serious problem, more so for some people than others. It depends on how outgoing you are and how good you are at building new relationships. It's also going to depend on the country you move to and the culture of that country. But this is something you definitely want to think about when you're planning for your new life abroad. Of course, if you have any questions, shoot me a message and we'll see what we can figure out. Hey, thanks for watching my video all the way to the end. All right, a little bit about me. My name is Jason Alvey. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. I left Australia when I was 26 years old. I went and lived in London for 2 years. Then I lived in Minneapolis, United States for 22 years. And now, as I'm recording this, I've been living in Ecuador for just over 4 years. Right now I live in Guayaquil, but I've lived in different cities in this country. I've been helping people with questions about living abroad for a long time now. And if you want to see exactly what I do, what services I offer, and the rates that I charge for them, there is a link to my website down below. If you want to check out my photography website, there's a link for that too, as well as a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page. If you really enjoyed this video and you'd like to support me by buying me a coffee, I would really appreciate that. That'd be great. I want to let you know I don't use AI for any of my videos or photography. And if that is as important to you as it is to me, then I want to say thank you for supporting a person who's creative without the use of AI. If you're also a creative person who doesn't use AI, tell me what you do. Maybe I can support you too. Okay, here's the part of my video where I say something crazy. I'm going to ask you to not subscribe to my channel. That's right. Please don't subscribe to my channel unless you are really interested in moving abroad and you really want to watch some of my videos. So here's the thing, if you're maybe a friend of mine and you want to support me by giving me a subscribe, hey, that's really cool, I really appreciate it. But if you subscribe to the channel and then you don't watch any of the videos, that sends the wrong message to the algorithm and then my videos won't get shown to as many people. So if you really want to support me, maybe you know somebody who is thinking about leaving their home country. Maybe you could share one of my videos with that person. That would be awesome. That would be really helpful and I would really appreciate that. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Righto, cheers.